Somewhere, there is a cursed monkey's paw curling its little finger as Jim Jordan finally got his wish to be a part of the January 6th Select Committee. But unfortunately, it's obviously not in the capacity that Jim Jordan had wanted it to be. Instead of serving on the committee, he is now in the crosshairs of the committee. This past week, the committee requested a conversation with Jim Jordan, as well as some other materials involving communications they believe that he had with Donald Trump on the day of January 6th. Now, Jordan has admitted that, yeah, he was in contact with Trump that day, and the committee says, well, we believe that you were likely communicating with him multiple times. And we need to know exactly what was going on. What were you saying to him? What was he saying to you? Who else may you have been talking to? So how about you give us those materials, come sit down and have a chat with us, and we'll get this whole thing all sorted out for you. Well, Jordan has not exactly said whether or not he's going to comply. He said he has, his doubts about it. He's not too sure. But I'm willing to bet this is going to be much like Republican Scott Perry, who also last week was asked to turn over his communications, as Perry was one of the individuals that wanted to get the DOJ to overturn the results of the 2020 election. And Perry said, no, you cannot have my materials because you're an illegitimate committee. So I have no doubt that Jim Jordan is going to do the exact same thing. So here's the thing. Now that this committee is effectively looking at its own members of Congress, now that the focus is on these Republican lawmakers, I firmly believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt at this point, the committee cannot do this job. They've done well up to this point. This is the time for Merrick Garland to step in. Because what's going to happen is that once more of these Republican lawmakers, again, get requested to come before the committee and refuse to do so, this is going to set up a showdown that this particular committee is not equipped to handle. And of course, it's going to create a public relations nightmare for the committee members themselves, as Republicans are going to go out there and claim, see, we told you, now they're coming after us because it's not really about January 6th, it's about attacking your political enemies. The optics of it, to be honest, they look bad for the committee. I fully support what they're doing here because these are questions that need to be answered, but they can't be the ones to do it at this point. It is a conflict of interest. When you're investigating your political rivals, even when it's a legitimate investigation, the optics are just too bad for these people to overcome, especially because the Democratic Party has really, really terrible messaging abilities. This is where Merrick Garland has to step up. It's time to appoint a special prosecutor. It's time to turn the duties of this committee over to that special prosecutor. Or special prosecutors. Doesn't have to be one. It could be many, it could be multiple, it could be however many he chooses to put on it, but it's now on him. These committee members should not have to investigate their own members of Congress, especially in a matter this big, because it is going to be used against them in next year's midterm elections. It is probably not going to go well for the Democrats, and if Republicans take back that House, the committee's work is over. So put it in the hands of the special prosecutor, protect it, allow it to move forward without any kind of, even appearance of partisanship. Because that is the only path forward with this investigation.